So at this time, I'm pleased to introduce our first speaker, Travis Kestner, State Design Engineer. So Travis, I will turn it over to you and have you, if each presenter could just introduce the next presenter as you go through the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Good morning. As Shelley said, I'm the State Design Engineer, Travis Kestner, and for today, we're going to be talking about how to get an item to the Commission. Just real quickly on this first slide, I want to really talk about our audience. Our audience for today's meeting is for program delivery items and for the districts. You know, really all those items related to program delivery and a district item, even a district presentation, we ask run through the design division of MoDOT for consistency. Some other divisions within MoDOT, like the Financial Services Division and audits, they deal directly with the Commission Secretary and their items. That's generally because they're from a smaller audience. You know, since our items are from a whole group, all 7 districts, we consider those coming from the design division, so we can check them for consistency when they come in. So generally today, let's talk about the Commission. Of course, as you know, it's a volunteer panel of 6 individuals that have the constitutional authority to carry out the work needed to build and maintain the transportation system for Missouri. That's a big deal. You know, a lot of states do not have the luxury that we have with the volunteer commission. Our commission can do a lot of actions that in other states have to go to a higher authority or even to the governor. One of those main actions that we do monthly is just the delivery of projects, the selling of right-of-way, the authority to award bids. So that's a really big deal for MoDOT. So we want to make sure that we bring the information to the commission in a format that's easy for them to understand, so they can act on those issues and keep transportation system moving for Missourians. The agenda for each monthly commission meeting is coordinated by MoDOT staff and coordinated by the Commission Secretary's office. So as we bring things forward, we try to keep those consistent, as understandable as possible, so they can bring those forward. The whole process for placing an item on the agenda is what's going to be reviewed today. There's going to be references throughout to the Commission Secretary Sharepoint site, to the Engineering Policy Guide. We may not go to all those links while we're doing the presentation, but we do ask you to take a look at them. And then also, anyone on this panel that's presenting today is a good resource if you ever have questions about how to get things on the Commission agenda. So I'm going to just briefly tell you who the speakers are today, and then I'm going to turn it over to Pam. But of course, Pam Harlan, she's the Commission Secretary. She'll be covering some items. We have Assistant Chief Counsel Terry Parker. We also have Jennifer Jorgensen from the Commission Secretary's office, Kenny Voss from right here in Design Division, and Brenda Harris from Design Division. So we have quite a few folks that's going to give you all kinds of information about this today. So with that, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So Pam.
All right, thank you, Travis. So as you touched on this earlier, the Commission has the constitutional authority and through state law to oversee the department and its programs and facilities. So they have chosen to take that authority that they have and delegate some of that down to the department staff. But they haven't done all of that. But where they have delegated, it's been delegated in the Commission policies. And when they don't delegate that authority, that's when you're preparing the agenda items for the Commission's consideration and action. And that's when you bring your materials for the Commission meeting, prepare your materials for the Commission meeting. All right, next slide, Marianne. So a lot of you will probably wonder, why are we preparing all this information for the Commission? And there's a couple of different reasons. The first one is that there are no surprises. There shouldn't be any surprises for your leadership throughout the department or for the Commission when an item is brought forward. So the Commission meeting process helps keep the Commission and MoDOT management informed and up to date on program delivery and other department business. It also allows the department to identify anything that's unique or sensitive or potentially controversial and bring those forward to the management and to the Commission for review and consideration. The other reason that we're doing this training today is that providing information in a consistent manner is very critical in making sure that good decisions are made and that they are consistent across the board. So we want to work with you to make sure that you're getting the guidance that you need today to provide this consistent information and to help make the decision-making process easier for the commission and leadership. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Terry Parker.
Good morning. One thing I would add on to Pam's explanation about the importance of the meetings and preparation for the meetings is just the need for documentation, a need for good documentation, good, accurate documentation of what goes on in the meetings and how the commission makes its decisions. So I'm going to talk a little bit about open and closed meetings and the documents that are used in those meetings. Meetings of the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission are public meetings as contemplated by Chapter 610 of the Missouri statutes, and that is also known as the Missouri Sunshine Law. A separate electronic book is prepared for closed meeting and the open meeting. Both closed and open meetings have a regular agenda, a consent agenda, and a report agenda. The open meeting agenda, but not the supporting material, are placed on MoDOT's website and sent to all media requesting it 1 week in advance of the meeting. The reason for that is just simply to let media and all of the public know what's going on in our meetings. Closed meeting material is not available to the public at all at any time. A routine item in the closed electronic book is a list of bids for highway and transportation bridge construction, which includes the engineering estimate against which the bid is compared. The engineering estimate is confidential and is revealed only to the commission and top-level staff. It should not be distributed to anyone before, during, or after a meeting. And the reason for that is just to keep the commission's information confidential. We use a lot of different detailed data that's gathered by our engineers and our other professionals in coming up with those estimates. And we don't want everyone to know how we come up with that information. Next slide, please. Thank you. Agenda. Regular agenda. All issues on the regular agenda are discussed and debated in the open meeting. These items include reports and recommendations from MoDOT staff and scheduled presentations by members of the public, organizations, and sometimes elected officials. Presentations by people other than MoDOT staff are limited to 15 minutes. This time period allows 10 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for follow-up questions by the commission. The consent agenda is a different sort of agenda. In order to make the most efficient use of commission meeting time and to ensure commission members are well informed on issues requiring their action, staff prepares and submits in advance of the commission meeting internal memos, which frequently consist of advice, opinions, and recommendations that relate to the items on that agenda. These are generally items that are considered to be routine or non-controversial, and that's how they get placed on that's why it's called the consent agenda. At the beginning of the open meeting, the chair will give the members an opportunity to remove any item from the consent agenda for discussion during the open meeting. Those items not removed will be acted on in a single motion and vote, which has to be unanimous. The report agenda is yet another type of agenda item. Information behind the reports tab represents information that the commission has requested to be provided on a routine basis, or state law requires that it is reported and requires no actions. Reports are not discussed during the meeting again, unless a member asks that it be taken up during open meeting. And I think a good example of that is the report that details consultant usage. The commission is frequently interested in that. Next, we will hear from Jennifer Jorgensen from our commission secretary's office.
Thanks. So backup material is prepared for regular consent and report agenda items in open and closed meetings. The backup page and checklist are provided for each agenda item. Some agenda items may also include attachments, exhibits, and/or presentations. Backup format directions that provide guidance on formatting, spacing, titling, and such are available on the Commission Secretary's Office SharePoint site in the Open Commission Meeting Library. This ensures that all agenda item documents are prepared consistently throughout the department, and it provides a seamless look for all of the agenda items to the commission. Next slide, please. Thank you. As I mentioned, that the backup format directions are available on the Commission Secretary's Office SharePoint site and the Open Commission Meeting Library. So are the naming convention instructions. This provides consistency between agenda items and allows for the naming of documents in the eBook are consistent throughout the eBook. This ensures that all documents are unified and consistent and presented as a whole by the department. So please pay careful attention to the wording of your agenda item title, using words as appropriate to emphasize or de-emphasize the issue as it relates to the media or other readers. Communication staff will be glad to assist you with that if needed. And the Commission Secretary's Office uses the exact title or the title exactly as submitted on your backup material for the agenda. So backup information should be prepared that is sufficient to allow the Commission members to make an informed decision. Each agenda item has a checklist, and this is to provide information mainly on the conflict of interest for the commission members. On the left-hand side is a completed checklist that shows a property that may be a perceived conflict for a commissioner. And when the commissioner afterwards, our office prepares a letter so that the commission can abstain from specific calls on, let's say, bid lettings, for example. So the letter on the right is what is provided to the secretary to the commission to abstain from just specific calls on those bid lettings. So the checklist, the agenda item checklist is available. It's a template. It is in Word. So you will have to click on the new and then click on shared and then double click on the MoDOT folder underneath it. If you scroll down, it'll have the MHTC agenda item checklist. And this is updated each time the commissioners update their conflicts or perceived conflicts. So it is important to go out there and always get the most current checklist instead of one that may be saved on your desktop. If you do not see the shared option, you will need to connect to your K drive so you can go ask information systems for support and help if you don't have access to the templates drive. With some agenda items are presentations, and they should be prepared in the standard formatting, which is simple for live streaming and documentation, which is the 16:9 widescreen ratio. This widescreen format displays well on electronic devices such as TVs, iPads, laptops, and screens. Sample templates are available on our Commission Secretary's Office SharePoint site in the Open Commission Meeting Library. And all of the templates are designed for O365 format and the widescreen ratio. Customer relations staff are also available to provide assistance as needed for graphics and presentations. Agenda items may have attachments and exhibits, and attachment format directions that provide guidance on formatting, spacing, titling, and such are available in our Open Commission Meeting Library. Again, this ensures that all agenda item documents are prepared consistently throughout the department. It also provides, again, a seamless look for all agenda items to the commission. Supplemental information such as maps, tabulations, chronologies may be provided as attachments. Reference to the attachment should be made in the backup material and in numerical order when referenced, and the attachment references should be numerical and noted in the header of each document. And now I'll turn it over to Kenny.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. So I'm going to talk about maps. There are several agenda items that require a map to show the location of a project or property. The commission sees several maps a month, so it's important for these to be consistent. The district must provide a map with the location, county, route, and section limits. And then the district will submit their map to the email group Commission Exhibit for review by Transportation Planning. Transportation planning staff will then either modify this map depending on how it was set up, or they will create a new one to ensure it's consistent with the format for the commission. Next slide, please. All right, next I'm going to talk about several agenda items, several different types of routine agenda items that are required by the commission policy. We will discuss why these are required and the specific authority that must be approved by the commission for each of these items. Examples of these are available in the commission secretary's open commission library, like Jennifer just mentioned. So the first one, next slide, please. So consideration of bids is presented by the state design engineer. MoDOT has monthly bid openings for road and bridge projects. The commission is responsible for ensuring we get the best value on our projects for the citizens of Missouri. We do this through a deliberative process of reviews and discussions. Bids are reviewed and analyzed by staff and then with executive management prior to the commission meeting. Action is required to request commission approval for award or rejection of bids. This is an open and closed agenda item. The state design engineer and executive committee discuss bids with the commission in closed session prior to presenting recommendations in open session. Emergency work is the only exception for award of road and bridge projects. In this case, the chief engineer must approve or must authorize emergency work necessary for public safety. Once bids are opened, members of the executive committee are authorized to award emergency contracts. Emergency projects must be presented to the commission for ratification at the next available commission meeting. Next slide. All right, the State Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP, and the amendments approvals that come with that are presented by the Transportation Planning Director on a regular basis. The STIP is referred annually and is updated on a quarterly basis. The STIP sets forth the specific projects MoDOT will undertake in the next 5 years. The STIP must be approved by the commission. The draft STIP is presented in May, followed by a public comment period. And then the final STIP is approved in July, which was recently approved this year. STIP amendments are approved by the commission quarterly. Amendments are required for 4 main actions: to add or delete a construction and right-of-way project, to add or delete federally funded multimodal projects, to increase the budget when exceeding $1 million and greater than 25% of the original estimate, and to make significant scope changes with or without a budget change. Amendments require a 7-day public comment period, and projects that are in the MPO areas also require a separate MPO, governor, and WNDOT approval. The next agenda item is a consent agenda item, and it's the cost share project approval. The purpose of the cost share program is to build partnerships with local entities that pool resources to deliver state highway and bridge projects. MoDOT allocates cost share funds based on the commission's approved funding distribution formula. Local public agencies submit applications for this program through MoDOT's website. Cost share project requirements are specified in commission policy. The cost share committee, which consists of the chief engineer, chief financial officer, and 2 other members, selects the projects. Recommendations are then provided to the commission for approval. Next slide. So the location and design approval is a consent agenda item. To ensure the commission is not surprised by work on significant or controversial projects, it is MoDOT's role to provide details on these projects for their approval. This is done with a location and/or design approval agenda item. Location approval is required for projects that require an environmental assessment or environmental impact statement. Design approval is required for controversial projects that require substantial amounts of right-of-way. The backup should include a summary of the public outreach and results of public meetings and hearings. The backup should also document any controversy and indicate what actions are being taken to resolve those issues. Design approval must occur prior to request for condemnation. The next item is plan certification for condemnation, which is also a consent agenda item. There are times that MoDOT must use eminent domain to acquire the necessary property to complete a project. This action must be approved by the commission. This action may be required even while right-of-way is still being negotiated to ensure the project stays on schedule. Right-of-way plans are developed by the district and presented to the district engineer for approval. If condemnation is required, the district will request commission approval. Action is required by the commission to authorize MoDOT to proceed with condemnation. Once plans are certified by the commission, they cannot be modified without additional commission action. This is why it is very important to have accurate right-of-way plans at the time of condemnation. Next slide. Disposal of excess right-of-way submitted by the district and as a consent agenda. There are times when the use of commission-owned property is no longer needed for transportation purposes. When this is determined, the disposal of excess right-of-way must follow a specific process as outlined in EPG 236.5. Determination of excess right-of-way must first be approved by the Asset Management Committee. If approved, appraisal, marketing, and negotiation are completed by the district. Appraisals are based on the assumption of fee simple title. Prior to requesting commission approval, a 10% down payment is required. Commission approval is required for property valued over $200,000 or with any controversy. Examples of controversy are maybe when a property is being sold to another public entity for less than their appraised value. That happens on a regular basis, so that's something we want to share with the commission. If the excess property is valued for under $200,000 and does not have controversy, it can be conveyed with approval of the right-of-way director. Next slide. All right, MoDOT has many different contracting methods for delivery of projects. Significant or complex projects should have a project delivery determination, evaluation, and risk assessment completed to determine the appropriate delivery method. If design build is determined to be appropriate, the district must present the project to executive management prior to requesting authority from the commission. If approved, the district will submit an agenda item requesting design build authority from the commission. This item is a consent agenda item. This action approves the project as design build procurement. This action also delegates specific authority to the chief engineer or his assignees. The chief engineer then delegates this authority to the project director for approval and execution of documents. An example would be execution of consultant contracts. Budget authority with this budget authority is limited to 2% of the program budget, so it's not unlimited from that standpoint. The other design build agenda item is when the project is being requested for award. This is presented by the district. The presentation by the project director is at closed and open sessions. Action is required to request award or rejection of a design build project and for authorization to pay stipends and execute the contract. Next slide. There are several other various types of agenda items. There are many times when a MoDOT or an individual employee has reached a milestone or has a significant accomplishment that deserves recognition. There are also times when there's potential controversy related to a project or a MoDOT decision that the commission needs to be informed of. We call these situational awareness items, which can be handled many different ways, including the director's report, a presentation, or a consent agenda item. Sometimes these may need to be handled in closed session. That'll be a conversation that we have before the commission meeting as to how those will be handled. There are also regular informational items the commission has requested. These items give the commission insight into the regular operations of MoDOT. Informational agenda items can be a presentation or a consent agenda item. An example operational item is the monthly consultant report. This report provides the commission an update on the consultant budget and a summary of the consultant contracts that have been awarded. On an annual basis, each district and division provide updates on their respective areas. This is an opportunity to educate the commission on the day-to-day operations of MoDOT. Next slide. The commission's mission is to represent the citizens of Missouri by providing independent and nonpartisan governance of MoDOT. The commission meetings provide a format for stakeholders to present their priorities to share their successes. These agenda items are typically presentations from a stakeholder representative in the area that we are having the commission at. Stakeholder presentations should be coordinated with the chief engineer and the commission secretary's office prior to the meeting. This item requires the district or division to submit the backup presentation and any attachments to the commission exhibit email group according to the schedule. This allows review of the content and format prior to the meeting to ensure a successful experience for our stakeholders. I will now pass on to Pam Harlan, the commission secretary.
Thank you, Kenny. So Kenny kind of touched on this. The commission meets January through May in Jefferson City, Missouri, while the legislature is in session. And then June through December, they typically travel around the state. So when we are out in the districts who are hosting the commission, there are times where a delegation or stakeholder group may wish to present to the commission something that's of interest to all of us. So we ask that the district or the division that's closely related to that group to prepare the backup material for those agenda items. And the backup format for a delegation or a stakeholder group is going to be different than what we prepare for the MODOT presentations. It doesn't require as much information. We ask that it include the three key points that's going to be in that group's presentation. We also ask that you coordinate with them to make sure that you get any attachments or exhibits that they may have, or if they have a PowerPoint presentation that they want to give, that we get that from them as well. Oftentimes when a stakeholder or delegation wants to make a presentation, we ask that you bring that request forward to my office and coordinate also with the chief engineer, just to make sure that if there are concerns or issues that they're raising, that the department has had a chance to address those issues and concerns at all levels of management. So from the district on up to the director before it comes to the commission. And there are certain exceptions where we do not allow stakeholders and delegations to present concerns to the commission. It could be about an employee, things in litigation, things of that nature. So we'll have to work closely with you on those. So we do ask that you reach out to us. Again, use the same SharePoint naming convention that you do for the regular meeting materials and get that those documents uploaded into the Commission Secretary's SharePoint site for the eBooks as well. And with that, I will hand it off to Brenda.
Thank you, Pam. I'll be talking about the schedule. So determining when a commission item can and should be submitted is the key to a successful approval. The commission meets monthly to hear scheduled delegations and discuss MODOT business issues. The Commission Secretary's SharePoint site is a wealth of information when preparing a commission item and determining when it should be submitted. On this link, you can click on this Commission Secretary homepage and it'll take you directly to that site. Next slide. When accessing the Commission's SharePoint calendar, keep in mind the dates shown on Commission Secretary's schedule do not include the review time that Design Division requires. If the item is program delivery related, you will need to include Design Division in the approval process. Again, the link on this slide will take you to both the Commission Secretary's calendar as well as the Design Division calendar. Next slide. This is an overview of the steps. There are multiple steps required for pre-commission review, and it is very important to follow each step in the process. Pre-commission review process includes a district or division having an agenda item, as was explained earlier. The agenda item is then prepared according to Commission Secretary directions. Step-by-step instructions are on Commission Secretary's SharePoint site under the Policy and Procedure button. Links included on these slides will take you to that sections. All documents related to the agenda item are uploaded to the Commission Secretary SharePoint site. Keep in mind that adding these documents to the Commission Secretary SharePoint site ensures collaboration on the correct documents and includes the correct individuals. The next step is once all documents are uploaded to the Commission Secretary SharePoint site, the links to the documents for each agenda item will be sent to the respective district engineer or division head for review. Next step is upon their approval, you need to email the agenda item to the group called Commission Exhibit for additional review. Again, references on Commission Secretary SharePoint site for the detailed directions on how to properly prepare the agenda item. Once design completes their review, the links to the documents for each agenda item should be sent to the respective organizational team leader for review. This review includes Deputy Director, Chief Engineer, Assistant Chief Engineer, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Safety and Operations Officer, Chief Administrative Officer. Once the item is approved and sent back through the review process again, Commission Secretary SharePoint site updates the original document with the suggested alterations for eBook preparation. Next slide. The agenda item is now included in the eBook, which is prepared by Commission Secretary Office and distributed to all MoDOT SMT members prior to the scheduled meeting. This allows for one more review before the agenda items are published for meeting consideration. Next slide. The final eBook containing the agenda and all applicable meeting material is published to the Commission and Senior Management Team site under the appropriate meeting date, located in the Open Commission Meeting Library on Commission Secretary SharePoint site. Commission Secretary Office prepares the notice of the meeting when the agenda is, number 1, posted in the central office lobby. Number 2, sent to members of the media and others who have requested the notice. Number 3, added to MoDOT's website on the internet. And number 4, and posted on the Office of Administration's website on the internet. Next slide, please. Once the item has been through the meeting and everything has been approved, the documents are all put in a retention center called the Commission Meeting Agenda Items. Again, the links are on the slide. All Commission Meeting Agenda items and documents dated with the meeting is retained on Commission Secretary's homepage. This is the official repository for records that contain historical value and assist in supporting the daily decisions that MoDOT operates under. For example, some of the items are bid awards, excess property disposals, local government agreements for things like roadway maintenance or urban municipal agreements related to infrastructure improvements. Other important historical information includes all open meeting material and agenda items since 2012 and all commission meeting minutes since 1921. Next slide, please. All meeting items located on Commission Secretary SharePoint site are open to all MoDOT employees. Since 1996, Commission meeting minutes summaries have been prepared, which capture a brief synopsis of the agenda item to help you determine if that might be the historical agenda item. Minutes from 1995 are available in Commission Secretary Office Vault, and a card catalog is used to research those. Also, Commission Secretary Office staff is available to assist in searching for items that may have had Commission action. Next slide, please. Some other additional resources can be found in MoDOT's SharePoint site. There are several online resources to assist you with guidance. A few other items that you could use as reference, and again, the links are on the slide. The EPG, or Engineering Policy Guide. Commission policy, there are several commission policies that we are required to operate under, along with MoDOT procedures. The Design SharePoint site and Commission Secretary SharePoint site, all can be found here. And with that, I will turn it over to Kenny or Travis to close us.
Thank you, Brenda. So a lot of great information. The PowerPoint presentation, folks, hopefully you saw that. It's at the beginning of the chat. You know, should have mentioned that as we started. I hope everyone saw that. So you can get to the PowerPoint presentation. It has all the links. As we highlighted several times, the Commission Secretary Sharepoint site is a great resource to give guidance on how to fill out checklists, backups, but also you can look at past commission meeting items from the past few years for jobs as well. You know, some of the items that we see quite a bit or look at quite a bit with the design liaisons in the group and also bridge liaisons or the location design approvals. You know, with the type of work we're doing now, we're getting more and more of that. So we want to see those out there and make sure we include the comment on public involvement when we put those location design approvals out there. So otherwise, with that, we'll just open it up to some questions. We've made the presentation here pretty quick today. It's all the information's out there to see. We want the commission process to be as painless as possible. So that's good. Everybody's ready to submit their commission items, you know, right now. So. Well, with that, we won't keep any longer. This presentation, I'll let Shelley wrap it up. This presentation, like she mentioned before, will be recorded and put on mo.u for future reference as well as with this PowerPoint with all the links in there. I want to caution you on using the links in the PowerPoint. You know, they're good now. You know, we're in SharePoint migration time, so once all the SharePoint might be changed and SharePoint migration takes place statewide, some of the links that are in the actual presentation might not be the right ones to work anymore. But just get yourself familiar with where these things are at now, and then you'll be able to find them later if those links do actually change a little bit. So.
Well, I think that was very good information. Thank you to all the presenters, and I hope that helps us now with our backup. There are no questions, so we did keep attendance today, and so anybody who attended will get you added to mo.u, and I guess that concludes today's webinar. Thank you.